Hi everyone, another day. This video is just going to be put together with bits and pieces I've shot over the last, I don't know, week and a half or two, since I was able to do a little bit of work after the hand surgery. It's coming along alright, starting to heal. There's still a few dissolvable stitches there, but yeah, starting to get a bit of bend in it. Still got the nerve pain, which was the whole reason we were doing this operation in the first place, to get rid of that. But yeah, I've got another appointment in 2 weeks, and yeah, I think Mr. Surgeon is going to be a little bit disappointed with his work when I tell him I'm still feeling the same thing. But anyway, moving on to the house. Got the hallway finished. Excuse me. So there's always things you sit on for a few days and you look at it and you think, no, I'm going to do that again. I'm not happy with it. So there was something I picked today that I wasn't happy with, so I've gone over it. Like I gap sealed all the architraves from the top of the door down to the skirting on both sides, and this side come up pretty good. We'll put it this way, it's not going to get any better. So, but all the lines for the paint are all nice and straight. No, I'm happy with it. I'm no painter, but it's clean, it's neat. This side, I had a little bit of I had taped up the wall, and when I gap filled, I waited till that dried, obviously, and then I painted over it so that the gap seal filler, whatever you want to call it, the white of that matched the white of the architrave. And what happened is I got a little bit of bleed through underneath the tape, because stupid me, I used a piece of second-hand tape, which, sometimes when you use it once, it's still great. And I'm actually keeping all this for around the perimeter of the floor in the bathroom when I go to grout the tiles, so I don't end up getting grout on the floor tile grout, because once that shit sticks, it's real hard to get it off. So I'm going to use that. That'll be fine, just as a protective layer. It doesn't need to be sealed. It just needs to have something down on the floor, so if anything happens to drop off the wall, it drops onto the tape. It's not runny, so it won't bleed. So yeah, I just went over this again today with some grey to try and cover up that bleed through. So I'm hoping this is the last time. But I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with the way this has all come up. And sorry for the glare. I've seen some of the videos, and I know there's not too much glare when I do point it up at the roof, but yeah. But it's clean and it's neat. So yeah, pretty happy. Very, very happy with the way that repair come up, as I have probably mentioned in one of the other clips that's attached to this video. So yeah, all good. So we're done in here now. I don't know whether I'll hang paintings up there or just leave the wall blank. I've got no idea. Okay, I played around with the cornice a bit up here again, and got that right. I just put some sealing white over the repairs, and it's been about a week since I did that, and looking at it, it's not too bad. So yeah, sort of happy with that. Okay, the tiling. So we have floor tiles laid from here back, and they're all grouted at the moment. Yesterday was a big day for me. I spent most of the day cutting all the cuts for the shower base. Now, I've made one mistake, and I'm in two minds whether I should correct it or not. If I correct the one tile I have to go and correct about another, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, about another 4 tiles. So I actually end up correcting 5 tiles. What had happened is these tiles are a 450 by 450, but it turns out that, say, we'll use the wall as an example, okay, so they're 450 by 450s as well, but it didn't quite work a full tile. It worked a 440, so 10 mil had to come off the tile for it to fit. Now, when I did the floor tile, I had to compensate for the fact that these tiles slip in behind there, and they're 440. So I needed a tiling gap. Now the walls aren't perfect, so I couldn't stick with the standard 3 mil. You know, the width of the crosses, because I simply couldn't get it. It starts to tighten up here a little bit on this end, and yeah, so I had to leave a gap, like I've done here. I've left a bit of a gap along the wall there. It probably looks bigger in the camera than it actually is, but compared to my other bathroom, it's quite good. And you have to remember that none of these tiles are in their exact location. They've got to be sort of moved, and you know, so they're just all sitting there at the moment. But getting back to this tile, what happened is, as you can see there, I've got a very large grout joint, and I somehow just measured it wrong. Like I knew I had to cut the tile at 440, and then I had to allow for the gap up against the wall for the joint, but I've ended up cutting an additional 10 mil off it for some reason. So that 10 mil has not come off the back, it's come off the front. Now I don't know why I would have done that. So I can cut another one of these and move that forward, but then what happens is these corners end up finishing here. So maybe on the second rail of this drain grate, so they won't actually finish on the corners. So if I actually recut this and I move this forward, it means I've got to slightly change the angle on this and on this side, which means then I have to then cut this tile back. I need to cut this one back, which means I need to actually remove it. I did remove this corner one, so if I cut that, then I have to completely cut a new piece, adding 10 mil to this. So it starts to get really complicated. This one can have the 10 mil taken off it. This one can have the 10 mil taken off it. But again, with this, I have to cut another piece and add 10 mil to it. So I don't know what to do. Like where it's sitting at the moment, all the lines are pretty good. It's just this one grout joint. Can I live with it? I probably could. But you know, it'll probably be one of them things that even years down the track I'll look down. Every time I take a shower, I'll look down at the floor and I'll go, I should have changed that. When I had the chance, I should have changed it. So yeah, I don't know whether it's worth all the work for the sake of a 10mm grout joint right next to a drain, or whether I just live with it. It's far worse in the other bathroom, so yeah. But anyway, everything's cut, and if I need to make the modifications, you know, there's a few where I can take, as I said, I can take the 10mm off, but then there's a few that I'll have to recut and make 10mm larger. Yeah. Alright, so I had to work out how I was going to get my fall on this side. Obviously it's a little bit wider here between the drain and where the shower screen will go. You can see that grey lead mark on the wall. That is the outer edge of the trim. So the shower screen will sit on these tiles here, on this little platform here that I'm in the process of putting together. So that's just normal floor tiles. So these will just get laid as the normal floor tile. And we'll go under the screen, so that gives me, straight away, that gives me 10mm, whatever the tiles are, 10mm I think. And then what I've got to do is stack that. So that one's basically, that one's a spacer, which is not the correct terminology, but you know, that's what I'm going to call it. So you're coming off the floor, you've got your first spacer, and then this one will be your top tile. So we've got the nice factory beveled edge there, so that will be on the inside of the shower, so you get a nice clean finish along there. Now on the outside, you might say, well, why wouldn't you put the beveled edge on the outside, because it's going to look a lot cleaner? But no, I have an idea. So my idea is to use a piece of this 12mm or 13mm trim, and what I'm going to do is, this will sit like that over the tiles. The shower screen will get placed down on top of it, so that gives me a really clean front edge. And then just underneath here, I'm going to put a grout joint, which you would normally see anyway, which you always have a grout joint wherever a wall intersects. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a grout joint in underneath the trim, and that'll give me a really nice finish in along there. So problem solved. Took me a little while to try and work out how I was going to do it all, but I'm pretty confident that should work out really nice. So yeah, so that's the floor. I've been playing around with some grouts, so I've been a little bit sneaky. I actually went and got a little sample card of different grouts. The only grout company that actually had any little sample cards was Dunlop. Now they sell Davco and a couple of other brands of grout, but Dunlop was the only one that actually had a sample card. So I took the sample card and I come home and I put it up against the wall with all the different grouts, and you know, selected one, and I snipped the bottom of the bag, just a little tiny cut, put a little bit of grout in and mixed it up and applied it to the wall. And this is supposed to be a grey, but when it dried, it actually dried like white. So I knew that wasn't going to be the one I was going to choose. So I thought, okay, well, if this is completely different to the sample card, so okay, let's go the next darkest colour. So I went with the next darkest colour, and that's this grey here. Now I've only just applied this, so this will fade out a little bit, and you can see all the stuff. I've still got to wipe it all off the wall, but this is more like what I was trying to achieve when I bought that one. So what I did with that one was because I'd made such a tiny little cut, I just put a little bit of tape on it and put it back in the box and took it back and exchanged it and I actually got a bigger box. So I bought a 1.5 kilo and then realised, nah, that's not even going to get you a quarter of the way around the room. So I exchanged that for a 5 kilo box, and I've just done a little trial fit. And the reason I picked this area was because it's behind the vanity. I'm liking this already. It's drying and it looks okay. Now I had some cappuccino, which was the tile grout that was used on my laundry floor tiles and wall tiles, and this looks extremely dark at the moment because it's wet, but when I look at the laundry floor and I look at the laundry walls, the grout's actually really nice when it dries, and I thought, ooh, maybe that might look alright with these tiles. But even though this is still wet, I've now totally ruled this out. It's just too dark. There's nothing else that's brown in here, so or of that cappuccino colour, so I ruled it out. But I thought, I had it in my box of grouts when I bought them inside. I thought, well, just try it. And I needed to do a little grout repair in the laundry anyway, so I just thought, put some on and see what it's like. So at the end of the day, we're sticking with this grey. The colour of the grout that I did decide on, which was obviously my second purchase, is Magellan Grey or Magellan Grey. People pronounce it different depending on what part of the world you're from. But yeah, so this is how I do my sneaky. I just snip the corner right along the seam, and then I'll just tip a little bit out, and yeah, and then put a bit of tape on it, and then I always cut it from the bottom, so that when you load it back into the box and they open the box up to check it, the cut's at the bottom. So yeah, little trick. As you can see, I've now run another PowerPoint. So I managed to feed it. I had a piece of yellow tongue. I was able to get the yellow tongue down through here, down through the wall cavity, and where the PVC comes out of the house wall, the brickwork's obviously still open there. I haven't bricked it up yet. So the yellow tongue comes straight out of the hole. I was able to feed the wire back through, and the original hole that was drilled in the stud that this wire used to run through, which was along here somewhere, I was able to feed that wire back through the proper hole, and I've bored it out through here. So inside the vanity, behind the drawers don't never go back all the way on a cabinet. You've always got a space. There's always a space there. So that's a perfect place to put a PowerPoint. So when the vanity goes up against the wall, this will get wired into the back of the PowerPoint, which is behind the top pull-out drawer, and that will be my PowerPoint to run my LEDs for the center section of the cabinet with the swing doors. And I've got to get some little pressure switches, so when you open the door, obviously the light comes on. So yeah, I thought this was going to be a lot more difficult, and I did at one point plan to put it on this wall and put it below the line of the vanity unit, so like down here, but then I was scared I was going to hit the plumbing, so I'm glad I went this way. So we're going to have 2 double PowerPoints in the bathroom, which is good. What else? We haven't really done much in here. I have sanded back these architraves, and I have recut these architraves. This used to come straight across here, they sort of had this set up the other way around. So this was upside down with the tapered edge to the bottom, and they had the flat edge to the top, and that used to run through past the architrave. So it was like a mantle on a fireplace. So it went through like that. But obviously I wanted that picture frame look. So I was lucky. I was able to cut this because obviously there was plenty of meat that still came past. So I was able to cut this one and reverse it, flip it upside down, so that went in all right. And I found a couple of pieces of Tassie oak in the shed. Now the reason I couldn't use the other ones was because they were tongue-tied, sorry. The reason I couldn't use the other ones were because they were obviously cut off straight here, horizontally, to allow this to run through for that mantle look. So they were short, they were missing that whole triangular piece there. Top ones were cut right, but the bottom ones were cut straight across. So I had to find two new pieces, and I did find two new pieces. And they were painted white, so I fully stripped them, sanded them, stripped them, and they're just ready now for a coat of Estopol, which I believe these days they don't call it Estopol anymore for some unknown reason. So yep, that's ready to go. I am going to keep it natural timber because that's the theme in the house. You know, windows are timber in the house. The rest of it, the skirting's all white, but the timber's there as a feature and frames it out. I like it. It goes with the ceiling fans. Brushed stainless steel with the timber finish blades. I do like me timber, so we're keeping that. I was going to paint it. I did paint the other bathroom, but the window frame was MDF, so unless I went and bought some like laminated sheet, timber sheet to line it, it wasn't going to happen, or I would have had to have changed the whole reveal. So no, so we just painted the other one. But I sort of like this. I think it breaks the room up. I don't want the room to be feeling sterile with all this white porcelain and all this grey tile and white roof, and so I'm going to leave that. Window, as I said, will get painted black, as will all the windows and doors in the house. So with this one, I'm gonna hand paint it on the inside. I've bought a new brush, a small brush, and I'm gonna try hand painting it. Not that was ever my intention to do hand painting on the inside, but I had a go 20 years ago with aerosol cans inside the house, and it was very messy, lots of overspray. You just can't stop the overspray from landing on walls and wardrobes and carpets. Even if you got drop sheets on, it still manages to find a way through. So I'm just gonna hand paint it. Use a very fine bristle brush, which shouldn't leave any streak marks. Make sure I prep it all properly so it all comes up good. I hope this isn't too dark, because I noticed in one of my other videos when I was filming this way during the day it was dark. But as you can see here, we have, minus these two, we have all 20 cuts to go up around the top of the roof. So I'm ready now to start on that as well. These two pieces were ones from the side there. I wasn't happy with the way the top was sitting. It seemed to be sitting out a little bit too far, and what I found when I took the tile off was that it was one of those plastic crosses jammed in under the top, and that was holding the tile out. So I just thought it was better to take it off and do it properly. And same with this top one, which I have to recut because I bloody chipped it when I went to get it out. What I forgot to do is I forgot to run the trim on the front. So there was no way I could get the trim under the tiles, so I had to knock that off. But even with this, I could still use this because all the sides are encased with trim, and you would never ever see this because it's like it's up the top there. So whether I should cut a new one, but really it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, that's all ready to go now. Oh, I picked up, I was going to go with round type covers to go around the taps here, but I figured, I've got nice square ones there, so I wanted to go with square here. Now I wanted chrome, but I couldn't get chrome. Everywhere I went, I could not get chrome. I could get black, I could get this brushed stainless. If it was a different shape, if it was round, yes, I could get chrome. Should I have went with round because the mixer tap cover is round? Some might say yes, some might say no, but I'm hoping by the time the cistern goes on and the seat goes on that this isn't going to be seen, where these two, or at least this one, will be seen. So yeah, I just wanted to put the square ones on, and also the reason was, as you probably know, I sort of stuffed up here. I stuffed up here a little bit. I needed to bring the hole over it, and this square plate will cover it perfectly. So that's another reason I wanted to go with the bigger plate. The round ones are a lot smaller than this. So I've got two round plates here, two different designs, but very similar. But as you can see, they're a lot smaller, and they weren't going to quite cover. This is the larger one. It wasn't going to quite cover the hole. You can't see it properly from here, but it wasn't going to quite cover the hole, where the square one gives me that little bit of extra meat around the outside. So yeah, we're going with square. Okay, I needed a piece of architrave to go up here because I had to sacrifice this side when I was doing the other bathroom. I needed a piece to go into the toilet, because obviously I put the door through from the bathroom to the toilet, and I needed one for the left hand side in the toilet. And I sacrificed the wardrobe one here, thinking that when I redo this room I'll just use some MDF and it'll all be painted and that's it. But then, like I've done with that window in there, I've decided now I want to keep the timber work around the wardrobe as a like a framing, a feature, and I needed a piece of Tasmanian oak to do that, and I didn't have anything long enough. This was my longest piece, and this piece actually came off the bathroom door, so it's not as tall as a wardrobe, because obviously, as you can see, we've had to put a 500 and I think it was about 550 millimeter extension on there. So so what I did is, obviously I cut it and then I glued it and then I stapled it. So I've stapled right through the back, I stapled through the sides, and I stapled through the front. Now these ones in the front, I'm not leaving these in here because this is going to be Estopol, so clear varnish, for those that don't know what Estopol is. So these ones will be plucked out, and I'll just use a little bit of wood filler and fill them in, or what I'll do is I'll get a little bit of the sawdust, which I still have left over from having sanded all this, mix it up with some PVA glue, some wood glue, and use that to fill these. But during the gluing process, I had to have these staples in there. I had to have it in there to hold everything straight. So don't think it looks bodgy, because that's not finished yet. We're far from finished. I bought it in to trial fit it, and I just never took it back out. But this has come up really nice. You can't even feel the transition between the two pieces of wood, so I'm very, very happy about it. This will go in here. This will all get fitted up here. Another thing I did, which is nothing to write home about, is that originally I had some underlay under here, which is not the same underlay as what's through the entire house. And what I did is I just doubled it over, but because it's a rubber or a foam, it doesn't want to sit flat when you fold it like a piece of paper. It wants to bow up. So all I did was I just cut it in half and just laid one on top of the other, and it sort of brought the level up nice now. Like the level of the floor in here it's quite good, despite the patchwork carpet repairs here. But like I said, the carpet's going to get replaced, so this is just a stopgap, just to keep the cold out and prevent a trip hazard. So yeah, this has come up alright, so I'm happy with that. It feels nice and flat when you walk on it now. I had a little issue here on the corner. This was always a bad cut around here, and there wasn't much I can do here, but I am going to try something. I've got something in mind to try and cover this up. I did cut a piece out of here, which was really bad, and I've cut a little piece there, but I'm yet to glue it in. But when I glue it in, it should look fairly decent. So yeah. So we've got a few more things here. So this is what I would refer to as Estopol. Like I said, there's a reason that they can't call it Estopol for a reason anymore. I don't know whether it's something to do with copyright or whatever, or whether they've actually changed the ingredients of Estopol, which no longer qualifies it to be an Estopol. But yeah, that's it. That's enough to do the few trims that I need. $12, so yeah, nice and cheap. Bought that nice little brush. That's big enough to do the window. It's a 25mm. Good enough. They're not actually a bad brush. My good brushes are Monarch brand, and they are superb brushes, but you will pay for them. You'll pay a good penny for them. These professional ones, they're a fairly cheap brush. They're not the cheapest on the shelf, but they are probably second or third cheapest brush on the shelf. Now, I've got one there, and I've been using this as long as the Monarch, and the bristles are still really, really nice on it. I've had to trim a few back, but I've had to trim a few back on the Monarch over the years, and that's been a great brush, and still a great brush. Provided you wash them out and you look after them and you trim them from time to time, there's no reason they shouldn't last you. But they've got a superb handle on them. I really love the texture of this handle. It's wood, but it's just finished so nicely. So that's what I'm going to have a go at the window with, because 25mm is basically the thickness of the aluminium window frame. So one stroke down should basically cover the window. I'm not having to do multiple strokes to cover it all in, and being small too, it'll get inside the tracks. So yeah, I guess that's it for the new purchases. Now I bought this cordless tool package a number of years ago. It's one of the base brands that you can get. I think it was about 219, and it come with the 2 batteries, it come with the drill, it come with a torque driver, the charger, all the clips, came with the carry bag, all the accessories for a grinder, come with some grinding wheels. So it was really good deal, you know. Come with a 5-year replacement warranty. Now in the past I've actually had the 2 batteries replaced, which they didn't require me to return the whole lot. I don't know why. Second time, thinking that it would be the same as it was with the batteries, the torque driver went, and I took that back, and they said, no, you've got to return the whole lot because it was sold as a package. We can't just replace the torque driver. So that's what I did. I took everything back, and I had all the original boxes, and they sort of freaked out. They go, you've still got the boxes? I said, yeah, I kept them all. So basically everything went back in the boxes that they came in, including the plastic bags that they were wrapped in. And unfortunately yesterday, the grinder let go. The bearing inside the grinder has seized. So for the 3rd time, I'm going to have to take all of this back, and they'll give me a brand new one off the shelf, which is good, because then the 5-year warranty starts from the date of receiving that new kit. So it's almost like it's an unlimited lifetime warranty, unless you go 5 years without anything breaking down, and then obviously your 5 years lapses, and then none of it's covered. But whilst ever anything happens within that 5 years, they've got to replace it, and your warranty starts from that replacement date, because you get a new warranty card. So yeah, so it was a good deal. For 219, you can afford to blow these things up as many times in 5 years as you want, and never, yeah, you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, so unfortunately this has all got to go back. So I'm hoping they still have one on the shelf and don't have to get one from another store, because if they've got to get one from another store, I'm going to bring this home until they get it in, because I'm still going to need to use my torque driver and my cordless drill, and obviously the charger and the batteries. But yeah, that poor old grinder finally gave out yesterday. I think cutting tiles had just been too much for it. And the good thing is, hopefully when I get the new one, I always had trouble with this button, even before, like from day one. I always had trouble pushing it in and getting it to lock. And then when it finally did lock, when you were grinding, just the vibration would cause it to won't do it now. Would cause it to actually release the switch. So the button was never really good from the word go. You can see there it's still getting jammed. Now there shouldn't be any grinding debris in there, because I blew all that out last night. I always do that with my tools. If I've been drilling or whatever, I just turn the air compressor on, and I always get into all the grooves and vents and nooks and crannies, and I blow out all the junk. And that's why my tools are in pretty good condition, considering how often I use them. You look after them, they last. Unfortunately, you know, the grinder didn't last. And all it is, it's a bearing. I know it's a bearing because I've replaced bearings before, but whilst it's under warranty, they can just replace the whole lot. If it was out of warranty, I'd just replace the bearing, and I've got bearings in the garage. But I'm not going to go to the hassle of pulling that apart. So yeah.